I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On the agenda, we need to add appointment of owner of town property to the eminent domain. And then we need to, Julie wants to appoint somebody to the Eastern Alabama Mental Health Disability Services Regional Governing Board. And then put on there the classification comp study. And then also authorize the chair to sign the weed commissioner certification form. At 9:30, we're supposed to call Hunt King, our auditors, in regards to the Stanwood Drainage District.
And that may be covered by what you already have on there.
Yeah. Okay, are there any other additions or corrections to the agenda?
Move to approve with those additions.
Okay, the motion's been made by Gall. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Smith. Roll call. Gall.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Chairman aye. Minutes. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? There are none, may I have approval of.
Move to approve.
Okay, the motion's been made by Bell. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Smith. Roll call. Bell.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Gall.
Aye.
Chairman aye. Okay. Stanwood Drainage District, will go into that later with that Hunt King. Secondary road proposed facility plan. Any discussion on that?
I talked to Rob a little bit yesterday about that, and about getting more information out this year and what his ideas were, and he's got some. I mentioned maybe going to some council meetings, and thought that might be a good idea just to get the information out. We talked a little bit about that.
Well, I think it was very clear by the vote that the public does not want the facility in the manner that it was proposed. So I think we need to go back to the drawing board and start over. I think we made a mistake as a board in the way we pursued it. I think we need to come up with a budget, present that to Rob and tell him what we want, for him to spend. I think we went about it the wrong way when we did it before. And I think that enters into a lot of different things. Some other things that are on the agenda, some other things that probably aren't, but I think we need to talk about if we're going to do it, what funding, local option sales tax, if we're thinking about any part of that. I think we should seriously talk about the farm out there and whether or not Cedar County needs to be involved in farming, because I think there's some money available there for facilities too.
Well, what we need to do is leave it on the agenda and have Rob come in at our next meeting, and we'll check with him at the department head meeting this morning, because I think Rob needs to be involved in it, not just the board. So we'll put it on the yes.
Can we get some background information on what that property would be worth and how much is coming in the cash rent? I'm guessing that it's probably being rented out at this time.
Okay.
Can we get some background, at least for me, because I don't have any of that.
We have that, and we have how many acres it is, and I don't know, we haven't had it appraised, but I'm guessing if there's 174 acres or whatever there is out there, I'm sure it's probably an acre.
And right now it's at $4.99 an acre we're getting for rent.
For rent, okay.
We got 2 more years on the lease on that. The thing is, once you sell it, that income is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think we need to have Rob in on this discussion also. Okay, the discussion decision regarding the outreach meetings by supervisors. And if anybody got any thoughts on that? My thought was that we would have like 2 a month, and maybe have like one on Thursday morning at one time, maybe go to a board at their council meeting at the other one for that month or something. And do you want me to make a schedule up for everybody, or?
Well, I think the full board needs to be here for that. I think it was his idea, but I like it. I think we should get out there and I know Clay County, they go to council meetings. I'm not sure how often, but there's just a great relationship they have, the Board of Supervisors with the council meetings in all the towns. So it's a good idea to go to, I think, council meetings occasionally.
I think that will be more effective than setting, I mean, you could do the combination of the two so that they would know that we were coming. I think it's important because in the 9 years I was in office, we never once had a supervisor show up for a meeting.
Yeah, you did.
When they were campaigning.
I was there.
You showed up once?
Mm-hmm.
Was that other than campaigning?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm pretty aware that it's during campaign season and most of the time they show up, but was it a fireworks one?
No.
So anyway, but I think that would be good.
And like
I mean,
Brad
our-
says, wait till we have the
Yeah.
full board here and decide what we're gonna do on that. Courthouse phone system.
I think Carrie wants to have some information for us to proceed on what we're going to do with the phone system. We have to do something, and that just kind of got dropped. And
I thought she was gonna bring it in at budget time.
but she doesn't have any idea what it's going to cost her. I believe. I think it's
She just
so
went
we have
down-
to decide what kind of
I think
system
she
we
has
want.
some
She
information.
just went down the hall, so. Okay, maybe we can meet with her after the department head meeting. Plumbing issue.
I talked to Denny Carney yesterday, and I guess I wasn't aware of that. It's like this underneath the elevator. There's would that be clay, orange tile?
Marshall?
I don't know.
He says it's a little collapsed right there. It's like right underneath the elevator.
That's what he
Maybe-
reported to us in the boardroom.
Maybe in your office there too. But he talked about Lynch. He hasn't got back with Lynch, but is he tearing up the whole floor?
They mentioned it.
When I talked with Wayne, there was a possibility of tearing up the floor. I think Carrie's, or somebody was supposed to try to find the blueprints for the courthouse and find out how deep the footings are. Because we may be able to go out the west side, but we need to find those blueprints.
And he said right now it's working good.
Carrie or somebody's supposed to be getting the blueprints for us.
I don't know whether Carrie's had a chance, you know, Bev, if she's had a chance to look
I
for
don't know.
those. Or
I don't know, I haven't heard anything more about it.
Okay, we can check with her on the department head meeting then. Courthouse office space.
I came up yesterday, I was kind of intrigued by that storage room, we've all been up there. So I came up yesterday and got Kenny to let me in and did some measuring up there. It's kind of from the east wall to the door by Melissa's office. There's close to 800 square feet. And then if you go from the door to Melissa's wall, I didn't measure that, but it looks like there's maybe another 150, 200 square feet there. A lot of room up there. And the walls are all studded out. There's a couple of heaters missing. I don't know why they took them out. You'd have to have a suspended ceiling in there. Maybe a little bit more electrical. I think suspended ceilings are $2 to $5 a square foot. I don't think it'd hurt to get somebody to get some estimates. Estimates are free. I mean, that'd be incredible room up there.
For what?
Well, to make room for here. I know the county attorney has been complaining about privacy and stuff, and I asked them, and I measured that. That's about 700 square feet down there. Just some ideas. We talked about maybe remodeling that, throwing out some ideas with that.
What are you gonna have for a storeroom then? Where are you gonna store it?
Well, there's some stuff that needs to be going through up there again. I don't know. That's something we should talk about. There's printers up there that are probably junk and a lot of files. I don't know what you do with them. But like I say, if you'd partition that off from that west door, there's probably 150 square foot up there, and you could fit some of that back in there. I don't think it costs that much to remodel that. Just an idea. I was just kind of intrigued by that, because I didn't realize the walls are studded out.
Just the inside, are the outside walls studded out?
Yep.
Are they?
You'd have to probably tap into some of that for electrical, but that's easy to patch. But, you know, it's gonna be an extra room up there.
Well, see, at one time, if the engineer, if we would've got that down there, the engineer was gonna move out, and that'd give extra space up here.
Absolutely. I don't know if that's gonna happen.
Any more discussion on that?
I think we should take a look at that. I think we, you know, need to plan as to who would go where and what would happen as far as if we did something like that, what the space requirements would be and so forth. The floor is also probably going to be a big expense because it's just hard concrete. But I think it wouldn't hurt to get some ideas of what it would take to remodel that. The other thing is I've been on my bandwagon for years is to trying to get people, and I know you guys are starting to do it, but get people to scan in as much as they can scan in, get electronic, and get rid of the files if you can.
And let's suppose we did get the facility, the taxpayers voted for that down there at the secondary roads, and all that came about, and we did happen to check into that. You know, give some of you people some sunlight.
That'd be nice too.
We get our hopes up.
Yeah, you can turn the basement into storage and we'll move up.
But I asked Shelley and Adam yesterday, and they said that would work just if it all came about and they were to move up there, we chose that they moved up there. They said that would work perfect up there for them. So I had a lot to talk about with that, but I think it's a start.
Okay, any more discussion?
Well, I think facilities planning isn't necessarily this. It has to all-inclusive, all the county facilities, including sheriff's office, and I think you need to bring the proposal that you've been talking to folks on the solar, because basically that's a county building that this board needs to be involved in any decision-making process. So.
Well, by the time it's paid off, you know, probably very few of you will still be sitting on this board or board, and hopefully I'm not still working. So, but I haven't got any bids back. The first one's going to bring a bid back Thursday I'm meeting with. So.
But we haven't. I mean, I just have heard briefly what it's about, and we probably need to get into a little more detail going to the board.
Yeah, that's down the road yet. Like I said, I've only got one person, one company actually coming to me with a proposal so far. It's a drawn out process. I mean, I want it to happen, but it's more in depth than I ever thought it was going to be too. But yeah, I understand you guys need to be involved in it.
I think we need to have discussion about, you know, from Denny. I don't know whether Denny knows that perspective about the roof here and the roof down at your place at the law enforcement center, and some of those maintenance issues that we need to be thinking about future budgeting for.
Yeah. Right now the roof is fine. The warranty runs out next year. We're negotiating on an extended warranty because it's been such a problem, but you know, you're looking at $600,000 to put a new roof on that place.
That's why I think we can't just close our eyes and not know about it until the roof is leaking and we have to do something.
I think next year, and I don't know if I'm taking you off topic or not, but next year I'm going to have a company come in and move all the shell and rock all the way to the other side, go around, reseal everything, move all the shell and rock to the other side of the building and do the other side, and that's about a $10 grand project. But it's 15 years old now, 14.
you have something, Jane?
I was just gonna make a recommendation to the board that, have you had a fairly recent space needs analysis done? That maybe that would be where to begin.
What was that?
Space needs analysis,
Space needs?
where usually it's an outside company, comes in and, analyzes each department to see what their actual space needs are. Based on, you know, people in it and what the space is used for.
Didn't know there's a company, well, I'm sure there's some engineering companies out there, or architect or something, come in and do it, but
Yeah, just an idea.
you have to find out how much it costs.
Wayne, if somebody wants to volunteer, or if you wanna appoint somebody, Thursday at 2:00, Moxie, the Cedar Rapids, the solar company, they're the first ones to come and give us their proposal, so.
Today?
What's that?
Thursday at 2:00.
Thursday at 2:00.
I think that needs, I think it needs to be given to us as a board.
Okay. So you want me to reschedule?
Along with you. And the reason for that is, when it comes to that decision, this board's gonna make that decision anyway.
Do you want me to reschedule it for a board meeting then? Is that what you guys want?
I think
Yep.
it should be.
Yep.
Okay. I'll reschedule it then.
Okay. Okay, any more discussion on that?
I do have one more question about the third floor. Are we going to go ahead and get some estimates so that we have those before we start working
Well,
on the budget for this next year?
in my opinion, the
or-
first thing I would do is decide who might go up there and get their input, because you're probably gonna have to partition off, put some walls in there for offices, and let them decide what they wanna do, kind of, and then get some estimates. Like I say, I really don't think it's gonna be that much money. You know, electrical's gonna amount to something, and the suspended ceiling, the floor, like John said. But at least get some ideas. That would be my thoughts on it. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Well, you've been kind of pursuing it. You want to pursue it further than Brad?
Well, I sure can.
Okay.
And, you
Come
know,
back
as
to
far
us
as,
on it.
as far as getting maybe Jeff up there and Adam and
Okay.
seeing if that's the department we want up there, I think that would work the best for them.
Okay. Then you bring it back to us. Okay, local option sales and service tax.
Well, I think Carrie mentioned that we need to have some discussion and make some decisions on that before that time comes. I'm sure that's what that's about, and she's not available right now.
Okay, so let's wait until Carrie's about. So we take Julie and Jane then?
Okay, we wanted to kind of give you some updates on the HIPAA, where we're at with that. Last week, I think, we are getting ready to send out those forms that we sign every year as part of our HIPAA with the compliance for confidentiality, the security of the computers, those forms. And Patty usually works with the auditor's office on that, and Patty let us know that she's no longer handling that, and also let us know that she's no longer doing the employee training or temp orientation for the HIPAA process. I think there was some confusion, but I think we have it sorted out. Jane is willing to do the orientation for new employees, so I think she's going to put that together. And then we're going to continue to use the same forms that we have, because they're in that manual pretty much this year, and then obviously as we do policies and procedures, then they may change next year, but we would still be good to use those. And I think Megan's going to make copies and get those out. So this pay period or next pay period, maybe.
I don't know for sure.
Yeah. So the other piece of it is Jane and I wanted to come before you and let you know that we have not made a lot of progress because with our own jobs, I've spent the whole month of December working on state warehouse reporting that had a lot of glitches, and budget for the region. Jane has a huge report that she's trying to do, and as we're trying to meet, it's getting canceled because we have this coming up or that coming up, and we feel bad because it's not going as quickly as we had wanted to get to it. And meanwhile, while it's sitting there, it's behind on what we need to do to bring it to compliance. So we wanted to talk to you how we can handle this. I know we had talked about hiring someone for the next fiscal year. I don't know if we want to look at someone now. I don't know if it would be in the budget to do this now. I don't know who that would be. I think we're just at a point where we might be able to get to it, but every time we say that, another project comes up, and to be frank, this region is taking a lot of my time because I'm driving down to Davenport 2-3 times a month at least and have all these meetings, and then in between I have to meet all these deadlines of things that have to be turned in, and unfortunately we want to get to it, we have to get to it. We just need your input and thought on how we should handle this because we're not moving as quickly as we would like.
And what's taking the majority of my time right now is going up on the new computer program, the Nightingale Notes, which is really good. And then also in November, I had an inspection done by Department of Inspections and Appeals from the state, and there's a lot of corrections that need to be made, and with corrections from the COPs, the conditions of participation, there's a lot of monitoring that I'm involved in then. So
Are you
I don't know
looking
how
at
I
a full-time or a part-time person for this?
Even a part-time person would be tremendous in trying to, because we're both still willing to participate, help with things. We just can't lead it at this point. I mean, we're not putting in the efforts that we need to. And a part-time would probably be able to take quite a bit and at least start in on the policies and procedures, and you make them uniform to Cedar County.
So in other words, are you thinking about making another department?
I don't know.
We hadn't really thought
we
that.
hadn't got that far, but
offices.
we need to probably talk about how we wanted. I know we had talked about maybe combining a security officer and the privacy officer, and whether that be two part-time people or how we make that work, or are there people in this county that have the time and are able to participate in that. I don't know. So we wanted to let you know that we feel bad. We had standing meetings.
We have a lot of guilt.
A lot of guilt. But with all the demands of our actual departments, it's becoming overwhelming. So.
And it has to take second place too.
Right, and we don't want that to happen. Not that we're going to abandon it in the meantime, but we're just not moving as quickly as we would like.
Basically, you're talking about rewriting the HIPAA policy, and
then we have to do the risk assessment, and then actual follow-up and follow-through of checking and monitoring on a regular basis,
which hasn't been done.
And then doing, of course, the orientation for any new people, and then the yearly updates that everybody has to participate in that it would affect.
Is there any firm out there? I mean, I'm thinking like Heartland Insurance, where they got all the counties together. They got somebody that does this, or have you checked on that? Or ECIA got somebody, or?
I don't know of anyone doing that.
No.
So each county has their own person?
They're supposed to. I know some counties do share a person. I know that came up at that one training I attended, that this person covered several, counties within that close proximity, of the county that they were in. So I don't know if we could look at something like that. I don't know if surrounding counties, maybe some of the other ones around us.
Some of the smaller ones like Jones, Jackson.
Yeah, I don't know what their interest would be.
When we did
I did
telephone survey, we did ask.
And most had to get going again and get theirs updated, but a lot of them had a person
Right.
Whether it be their HR person or, I forget where some of the other ones, I know some of them were their community services or their public health people that were doing it. And they too admitted that they need to update as well, so.
Is somebody like our HR person, like Paul?
I don't know.
I don't know if that's in
We
his
could ask,
expertise or not.
I mean, I don't know, we could ask.
Might be someplace to start.
Yeah, because I know some do it because when a new person comes in, obviously your HR person will handle that, and then they can do the orientation right off the bat and have that all covered, so, I don't know.
I don't know where we take it out of our budget without that.
And that was our concern, we just didn't know. For sure though, for budget time, I think we really need to seriously look at, for July 1st on, having someone that'll do it more on a regular basis. Is that a possibility to take a look at that, or I don't know?
You'll have to give us some numbers or, do some checking as far as.
Okay.
If there's other counties that would share a person.
Okay.
What
the cost would be to us.
the availability is of those services.
Okay.
How long does the orientation take?
What I'm working on right now, it would probably take, I have to add up maybe a couple hours. Yeah.
And I think Jane had mentioned too that hopefully there would be a group maybe of people that could do it all at once. And
Rather than doing it one at a time, I'd rather do it as a group,
there was
like
a few.
once a
But
month or
obviously
something.
there's going to be hires that are just one person hired, and then you go a stretch of time and there'll be more, so that person would need to be brought up to date right away. But
when we hire a new person, do we have a time limit of when we have to give that orientation, or can you wait for like 3 months until you get a bunch of people together? Or?
I think a lot of it would depend on where that person is placed.
I think if they're in an actual department that deals with I think that would need to be immediately.
Yeah.
Okay.
For requirements. If maybe it's an office that doesn't, but they still probably should be aware of confidentiality and things like that, because we do work in each other's offices from time to time with different things, then maybe that could be a little bit later. But
And I would not want to put an employee in contact with protective health information without them knowing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to pursue some of them avenues, then come back to us.
Okay.
Find out what.
Yeah. It's just been a lot, and I feel bad, and I know we both do. But I just want to let you know that we're not making as fast headway as we would like, obviously. But
You got 3 choices to get on the agenda with the budget. So,
okay, I'll talk to Carrie and see. I don't know, a separate budget or put it into a budget that's already existing.
I don't know, so you can.
Well, we probably need a separate budget, I would think.
Carrie, wouldn't you think it'd be separate?
For a HIPAA, if we were to hire a HIPAA person?
It'd almost be their own department. Unless it would fall under yours.
Can we talk about this later?
But I would think that to do a cost analysis that you'd want it pretty well to find out what funds are going to have to be available for that person.
Well, I think you come back with the cost first, and then, when it comes, if you can work with another county, or Paul would do it, or something like this, and then
Okay.
find out from there, then,
Or maybe Paul knows of somebody.
That's true too.
Yeah.
and maybe he'll do it for that $1,500 a month we pay him too.
I'm not sure about that. It can be time consuming.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody here? Looks like most of them are here, I think.
Mike's not here.
Doug? Everybody else here? We can start. Phil, you want to start it off?
Enjoying the winter sports. Delayed a few things, lots of water samples so far. Starting up here, nothing last month.
starting off the new year, huh?
Yeah, failed septic system, trying to help people figure out what they're gonna do. This time they really, no pun intended, crap out.
Gary?
Yeah, just trying to get the end of the year finished up. Something called stand with drainage seems to be causing a little grief, but I guess we're gonna talk about it here in just short order, so.
Yeah. So you're gonna stay for that, aren't you?
Oh, I'd love to.
Okay. Jane? Yeah, I'll go around. What did you think, Mary?
Could we go back? I have a question for Phil. Can you give us a report on that Thurston bar?
What do you wanna know about it?
What's happening? Was he met the requirements?
No, he's still working with his engineer for the septic system. And it takes time.
But he's operating as a bar at this point.
I presume so, yes. Driveway's been removed. I think you guys know my opinion on how that really should have been done, but.
Okay, Jane?
We're slowly transitioning all of our home health clients over to the Nightingale notes. It'll take us 60 days to get everybody into it. Anyone who goes through a research or any type of an OASIS assessment is getting moved over to the Nightingale notes at that time. So that's been a learning curve for everybody, but I think everybody is doing exceptionally well with it. Second thing was, as I earlier said to the board, is the corrections that we're making in our programs in response to a survey in November from the Department of Inspections and Appeals. A lot of more monitoring. Andrea and I are both going out with nurses. We each have 2 nurses, and we do 2 visits a week with each of the nurses. So we're going out into the field and watching the care that's being delivered. And, you know, Ebola's kind of quieted down, but flu has kind of raised to the top now, and we're seeing a lot more people coming in for the vaccine, so that's a good thing. So I would just encourage everyone, if you haven't gotten it, it's not too late, and it is turning out to be kind of a severe.
Are we halfway through it?
No. No, because January and February in Iowa are usually the peak months, so ask me at the end of February.
Okay, thank you. Julie?
We have a regional governing board meeting on January 12th where the regional team for the CEOs are going to meet on the 8th, and we're going to finalize the regional budget and present that to the governing board on the 12th, and then I will bring it back here, obviously, to present as well, if once they approve that, if they're satisfied with how we did that budget. I probably won't, I'll be gone on the 13th, but maybe on the 20th, or 22nd is my budget date, so that's probably when I'll be in to go over that with you. Then I'll be meeting with Carrie, and we're going to have to figure out how to move Department 47 out of Service Fund 10. We're going to have to work that out, so I'll be bringing that to you as well. So been working on the budget and completed the state warehouse reporting this whole month of December. There were a lot of glitches, and finally got it done, and it's in, and we're in compliance. So.
Thank you. Rob?
Got our 6 inches they're talking about. Started as per policy this morning. Trucks were on the routes by 6, and the blade started at 7:30. The biggest fear, actually, everything's fairly manageable out there right now. It's just the wind's supposed to come up heavy at noon and blow for like a day and a half. So obviously, being a really light snow is actually my larger concern, is how this 6 inches is going to turn into the drift that they're going to do. But obviously, we'll stay with it and do what we can. They did open the 205th Street Bridge west of Old County Home yesterday. It did freeze up firm, so we wanted to get that open before we had all the snow and then bury all the signs and whatnot. So that did get open. They have some work, quite a bit of touch-up work to do in the spring, but everything, all the major items are in place. Obviously,
to the road, the guardrail, the bridge. The grade's all correct, it's just finished grading in the spring. Or whatever erosion occurs will be touched up. That's it.
Okay. Tim?
We got the 191 course on the 15th. Right now we only have like 6 people signed up. If we don't get our 15, we'll be canceling that course. That's state paid for course. And then on the 30th, 31st, they have 700, 100 course. We'll be in the basement here. We have an EMA commission meeting Thursday night starting at 6:15. Everybody's welcome.
That's it.
Patty?
A little synopsis, gave out 79 certificates this year. We're down 15, that's just my quick numbers from last year. I want to give a thanks to Jane and Diane for stepping in because due to my family emergency, I was out basically the last week and a half of sign-up, so I think that probably had a little bit of impact. But it was on my answer machine to contact their office that they helped out, and I think Diane signed up like 15 people. So that was really nice of them to do that for me in that time. Still getting caught up on the VA side. Since nobody else can do that, there was a couple of calls made to Johnson County, and he of course contacted me on my personal cell phone while I was out in the hospital and such with my mom. But we'll be out in Des Moines on the 20th for association meeting. I kind of stepped down from doing the education chair, the second vice for the association. So during everything that was going on, so I'm kind of on the interim of sliding back into that, but somebody else is kind of taking over that education portion for me, but I still have to attend the meeting. I won't be at the Day on the Hill, which I kind of reported when the Representative Kaufman and Senator Dvorsky were here, but addressed my issues then. But other than that, just plugging away.
Melissa?
Just finished up ATV, snowmobile, ORV renewals, so we still have some people coming in doing late renewals, and there's an additional $5 penalty for those done after the first of the year. We have the new 2015 fishing regulations upstairs if anyone wants one. And we're working on passports. We've been kind of busy with that. They've actually dropped the processing time from 4 to 6 weeks to 4 to 5 weeks. So, and January 14th, I have an ESS meeting in Johnston for the ESS committee that I'm not on. So I'll be out of the office that day.
Cindy?
We're basically primarily just out in the field doing permit follow-ups and that sort of thing, trying to get those completed ideally by February 1st, give or take. Angela and or I will both be at continuing education during the week of the 19th to 23rd, required by the state for part of our job. Aside from that, there are a few credit applications that are due by February 1st, including geothermal. That's for anything that's new or in retrofit after January 1st, 2012, and it's a 10-year partial exemption on that for your home heating system. Forest Reserve and a few others, and we'll update those on our website. Verify that those are due.
Carrie?
Hunt King will be here. Sorry, I can't see the calendar. It's the third Tuesday and Wednesday of this month. Is it the 21st?
21st.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so they'll be here. They'll be in the large room. We're currently working on 1099s. I believe W-2s will be sent this week out. Along with that will be forms, our yearly forms for all the employees to sign with the HIPAA and Privacy Acts. And I'm working on budgets. And I currently have an opening. I'm trying to fill a position that will be very hard to fill. Person leaving me for 35 plus years, so.
It's amazing how selfish some people are.
Warren?
Everything we talked about already. I just sent an email off to Moxie to reschedule that. I'll let you know when they get back with me. The flu pretty much went through the office. Still fighting that. I'm getting over it. Everybody else has it. We're taking stop touching me. We're taking applications for a jailer position, one of the males, took a job with the feds, so. Other than that, storm, looking forward to tonight.
Adam?
Mr. Renander's gone for the next week and a half, and our legal assistant's been gone yesterday and today, and I'm not sure what her prognosis is for the rest of the week, so we're pretty short-staffed. So if anybody needs any legal advice, document review, anything like that, please give it to me with as much notice as possible, and be understanding that it may take me a while to get it turned around, unless it's an absolute emergency. The only other thing, most of our district court trial dates are filled up now through April, so it's going to be a busy spring, and a lot of those will get moved or get resolved, but it looks like it's going to be a pretty busy next couple months.
If you want, you can forward some of those to me. I've got a jail full of attorneys. Bar stool attorneys.
Dobber?
Everything's going great. Love the snow. So, we just got donated 20-some acres of timber down by south of town here. It's almost to Rochester, up 273rd down in there. Butts up against you, Larry, down in there. Wick, Carlene. It's down around Mike Harden's, around that corner down in there. So she just passed away, and she willed her ground to the conservation board. So we're in the process. Jeff is actually in the process of working with their attorneys to try to get it switched over. And what we need is it's landlocked right now, so we're going to need an easement. We talked to Mike Harden. Looks like where we're going to get the easement, maybe. So try to work with him. So and what to do with it then. So she just whatever we wanted to do with it was fine with her, as long as we put up a sign that says that it's a woodlot property, so park. So, and then we just got a phone call yesterday of another possibility of getting close to 100 and some acres. So they're in the process now trying to figure out what to do there. So that's in the early stages. So, yeah, a lot of positives.
That down south, that good mushroom honey?
No, not that one. No, that one actually is too. Yeah, that one's in the works. Phil was kind of filled me in on that one time here. They're not sure what to do with another one off to the southeast over there, which was the old Cook's Lake there. So Compton's have contacted us many a times, and I don't know what's going to happen there yet. So, but yeah. Other than that, everything's positive.
Okay, is any of the board members got anything for the department heads?
Storeroom's getting full again. You can go up and go through what's not good and get rid of it.
Rob, sometime the board kind of wants to go over your plan down there on the secondary road facility down there, or what you want to do, and how we're going to finance it, or what we're going to do, how we're going to proceed with it.
Sure.
You know, when you could
Maybe next week.
Next week?
Let's
put you on for next Tuesday.
Excuse me. You looking? I mean, I assume another formal presentation, or just come in with.
Yeah, I think discuss it, find out how we're going, if we're going to finance it, or what we're going to do, and change anything, you know. So.
Okay.
Rob's coming in. You're coming in at 9:15 next Tuesday.
Okay.
Is that what you want to do?
That'll work, and then I'll have a couple more things for you, Bev.
Okay.
That'll come up.
Okay. Any other words of wisdom for?
I have a question for Carrie on our phone systems. We had discussed that previously before you came in, and can you get us some estimates on those systems so that we can pick one out with the new budget coming in?
I can.
Actually, we just need to have you come in and tell us where you're at with it, and
yes.
discuss everything.
Okay, that sounds good, because, yeah.
Well, right now we have nothing,
Guidance.
so, on both ways.
Yeah.
And Brad is taking a a step ahead, that he's going to check into the storeroom up there, remodeling that, and maybe moving some offices around or something, and come back with an estimate on that. So he might be around to the department heads asking what they need for what they're interested in. So Brad will be heading that up. So he's going to come back to the board with that information. So.
If you're not busy, Adam, maybe I can talk to you in a little bit.
Okay, anything else?
Blueprints too, weren't you?
Huh?
Blueprints for.
Yeah, Carrie, did you find the blueprints for the facility or?
I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, Rob?
Yeah, we have them in a file in
Yeah.
a vault, we call it the vault, in a closet, yeah.
Cause we gotta pull those out and see if we determine what the footings are.
Sure.
The depth of the footings. When we're dealing with that plumbing issue down there in the facility.
I know they were looking at it when that originally came up. So, yeah, they're in a flat floor, not all.
Cause we're gonna have to deal with that probably next summer, next spring.
Anything else? Nothing else, thank you.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got the septic system. We're going to call it.
At 9:30, we're supposed to call Hunt King, but
Span. So,
Oh.
taken care of.
So nobody's living or anything out there?
No, there's a public water supply. Spread. So it's pretty straightforward.
So they can camp temporarily.
No. I've been on through it.
better watch it up right away.
3 years.
They might talk.
Generation that they.
Hold it, Larry. Hold a word session here, please. On the classification comp study, it was brought to my attention that there is no COLA, no consumer price index increase for a lot of people this next year. And I checked with Paul because I thought we were going to start this comp study in this fiscal year coming up, and then the step raises would be in 2 years, and the COLA and the CPI would be next year. Paul sent me an email and stated that most of the study was from 2013 to early 2014. So he said it's up to the board what they want to do, but he said the CPI is 1.2% for the county. So at 1.2%, and I had it figured up, he was looking at a $5.2 million payroll. It cost us another $62,400 to give a 1.2% cost of living increase.
You want to repeat that one?
Huh?
Want to repeat that last number?
$62,400 for a 1.2% cost of living increase. See, that's consumer price index that he gave me. It's up to the board. Originally, when we were talking about this comp study, this classification, they were going to adjust all the wages starting with this fiscal year coming up, and then the COLA and the CPI was going to be for next year. He said that since most of these wages were back in 2013, early 2014, he says we could do the CPI at 1.2%. What we need to do is you need to make a decision on this so Carrie can send it out to the department heads what you want to do. Do you have something, Carrie?
What we've already sent out is exactly what the board approved for the wages for each individual hourly. So that's what the department heads have right now.
And that's what I talked to Paul about yesterday when I called him on the phone, was that, that's what we sent out. And he says, well, and he sent me back this email, and he says that most of the data that was used to complete the study was from late 2013 to early 2014. So he was thinking that it would get installed this fiscal year instead of next year. So he said if we do, you're looking at 1.2% increase for a COLA, cost of living increase, and there's some of the people that are going to get a pretty healthy raise, because if you look at what some of the people are going to go up to, that's going to be on top of their raise. But what we started this comp study for was to get everybody in line in the courthouse for the job that they're doing. And that's what the comp study come back to us with, and that's what we had agreed to. And then there's step increases every 2 years. And we agreed that we would not take any wages away from anybody if they were in that grade in there, in that scale or somewhere, that we would not take wages away from them. But some of them might not get a step increase for a while because their wages are up there at a certain level. Am I not right, Carrie?
That depends, because each year that scale moves. So
Yeah.
whenever an increase happens, we're going to get a new scale that will constantly be bumping up. So.
And if we go with the 1.2%, it'd bump that scale up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the board's wish?
I was under the impression that we were gonna go with what the numbers came out for this year and not do anything until the following year. I think that's probably, I would prefer we do that because I think it was almost a misrepresentation if we do differently.
You're saying no COLA or no CPI increase?
Right.
Yes, Jane?
Can I just say that when Paul did the discussions with staff, that question did come up, and he said, yes, there would be, prior to going into the program, it would be adjusted with the CPI. And he communicated that to me, because I asked specifically September 11th, if that would be the case, and he said yes.
Well, I guess he didn't have that authority.
Well, I know he doesn't have that authority. I know, but
It's
that's
just
what he
something
said
else.
to, in his meetings with staff members, that's what he told them.
We were led to believe differently.
Well, and I'm sorry, I have to agree with the board. I think it's great what they've done. I know some department heads have not been cooperative on this, which is very frustrating on my part. But honestly, I think everyone just needs to sit back, start concentrating on doing their job instead of dwelling on this comp study that's been taking place for 8 months. Everyone is being compensated correctly, better than what they have in the last how many years.
Well, it's something that we wanted to get started, and we agreed that right off the bat it was not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
But we wanted to have something that we could put our fingers on, that so we know each year what's going to happen.
And the ones that didn't get a huge raise is because they've been paid correctly.
Yeah.
So.
What'd you say, Gary?
Did I understand you to say then, say that you're kind of going with this format, and then you're gonna look at a COLA the next year?
Yeah. That will happen every year.
That sounds really fair.
All your steps and all that would be in place, and then your COLA would take effect. Well, that'd be
Your COLA happens every year, but your step happens every 2 years.
Years, yeah.
So, yeah.
I agree with Carrie. I think you've done well, and
I know the board's gotten a lot of flack, Paul has taken a lot.
Yep.
And I think certain other individuals have too, but people haven't come to us, but we pulled the knives out, we're okay.
See,
it is what it is.
Even at that last compensation committee meeting, Paul brought up the CPI.
It's an option that is out there, Jane, but we have to look at what we have right now.
Oh, I understand, and I don't think that, I mean, I don't mean to dispute what you're saying, but I'm not sure that everybody's dwelling on it. It's just an obvious question that I'm getting from staff members, because that's what, when they attended the meetings that Paul did, that's what he said.
Yeah, that wasn't at the meeting, but.
And if he presented it differently?
Well, and it could be, and I don't know that because I wasn't at the meeting, but it could be that he said that yes, that CPI would be in effect, but he didn't say when.
Oh no, he made it perfectly clear.
That it would be right up front?
Yeah. Yeah. So and he can be wrong, just as anybody else can be wrong, but I think it just is a point that we need to make sure it gets communicated correctly to everybody now. And obviously, directors need it for their budget.
Well, it's up to the board what they want to do. Dawn, I realize you weren't in on the comp study, but what we done was started in.
Actually, I was in on
That's
the
right,
comp
you were on the
study.
committee. That's right.
I'm probably more aware of it than you think.
What's your feeling on it? How'd you feel?
I understand where you're coming from as far as what Paul had mentioned. I don't know that it's feasible to do both up front. I think we're gonna have to, I think it's like Carrie said, we're going to have to get everybody where they need to be. I think it's been a real battle to get everybody where they needed to be. And I will tell you, Paula took heat for it, I took heat for it, but we spent many hours, including Betty, trying to figure out what was the most fair way to do this, whether it was time on, whether it was education, so it wasn't weighted one way or the other. I mean, that's why we tried to do this the best that we could. And I don't think anything's perfect, but I think if we go ahead and we do the regular step increases and then wait a year and do the COLA, that's probably our best budget situation.
Brad?
I agree with that.
Okay. John, you agree with that?
I already mentioned what my thoughts were on it.
So to put it in the minutes, we should have a motion to one way or the other and take a vote on it.
Move we implement the COLA in July 1 of 16 for the 17 budget.
Okay, the motion's been made by Bell. Is there a second to motion?
For the what budget?
To do 16
to 17.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Smith. Any more discussion? Roll call. Bell.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
And Dearborn, aye. Good answer.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we need to call Hunt Kane.
Mm-hmm.
What's their number?
I've got it.
There you are? Okay.
I learned to share a long time ago.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I kid you not, basement floor, bottom of the pier.
Hi Dee, I'm gonna transfer this call to our speakerphone. The auditor's here, the
place ain't
treasurer,
going nowhere, is
some of
it?
the staff, and there's some other public spectators in the boardroom here.
Piers, I don't know
You
whether
know
it's a
what's
full
up here,
foundation,
Sandy.
but piers are
Yeah. I've always been in the hot seat.
Good morning, Dee. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. You're on speakerphone.
Okay.
Morning, Dee.
Good morning.
Morning.
Carrie and Sandy are here, so they're going to lead the discussion.
Okay.
We were going to let you lead it, Dee.
We'll do a little synopsis.
Whoops, we should go and stand with Drainage District.
Move we go into Stanwood Drainage District.
Okay, the motion been made by Bell, seconded by Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're in Stanwood Drainage District.
She went to get some papers.
Carrie just left for just a second, Dee. She'll be right back in.
Okay.
What we're going to be talking about is the outstanding, the invoices to be paid by the Stanwood Drainage District, or for the Stanwood Drainage District, and the stamped warrants with Bridge Community Bank, and Hunt Kane advising on proper procedure.
Okay.
Simply because through all this, it has become an accounting nightmare. It's not as smooth as what Bob the banker is saying. Okay. Jim Hudson, everybody else. So Sandy has been working with Solutions, trying to figure it out. When it comes down to it, she needs to balance, and she can't. Not the way the bankers want to run this. So she went ahead and took initiative, called up Dee. We talked to her yesterday. She does have a couple solutions to this issue. And I think I'll just let you take it over from here, Dee.
Okay. Yeah, because the way that it was planning to be run with a stamped warrant to the bank and then using that money to pay the vendors, it's really sort of a a hybrid between a stamped warrant and like a regular long-term debt. But the problem is, one of the problems is then you still have to track all the stamped warrants, and then you'd also always have this reconciling item between the stamped warrants and the payments, since they aren't going to match. And then that is just this reconciling item that was sort of outside the solution software, which would make, all the reports wouldn't be completely accurate, and the cash wouldn't balance out right without that reconciling item. And yeah, like they said, it really would be a lot of additional work for the accounting for it. And what we were thinking is there's a couple ways. If you either do a true stamped warrant, where it's written out to the vendor for the exact amount and sent to the vendor after it's stamped, and then it's sort of up to them to hold it as an investment or to sell it to a bank if they need the cash right away, or a true long-term debt. Like either if you could do a bank drawdown loan where you just get the money when it's needed, or like drainage warrant certificate. But then it would go through as any other long-term debt in the normal receipt process, the normal disbursement process, without all that additional reconciling items.
The second manner, we were told we couldn't do that by code.
What was that?
Their second option, we were told we could not do that by code for drainage districts.
The drawdown.
A drawdown bank?
That's what we originally wanted to do. And we were told by the attorney and the engineer that we could not do that.
That you can't do drawdown loans? No, you can do a drainage warrant certificate. But if the project is going to be fairly big, that might not be. There might be a lot of those certificates to issue too.
So the project was going to be like over $2 million. Did you read what the bank had sent us, Dee?
I don't think I ever had anything from what the bank had said.
We just explained the process to her of how we actually do a stamp warrant to Bridge Bank, and then in turn he's giving us a check from Bridge Bank, Sandy's depositing it, then in one of other Sandy's checkbooks she is paying the vendor again. So we're actually, if you think about it, we're actually doing the bank's job, because if he's buying these warrants, he should be paying the vendors then. It could go that way too. That's why it wasn't setting well with me, because I thought something's not right, but I didn't know Sandy's side that well. So of course when it came to her, she's like
and Solutions was not all for it, and Solutions recommended that we call Hunt Kane.
So what you're saying though, Dee, is we can't have a negative balance or a positive balance in the Stanwood Drainage District?
No, what I was saying is there would always be a reconciling item, since the stamped warrants to the bank are in the 10,000 increments.
Yes.
But the amount to pay to the vendors, could vary from, any amount there. So there'd always be that difference. And that difference isn't running through the solution system then. It's just sort of out there on a separate spreadsheet somewhere. But it's not, there isn't any easy way to run that through the system. So then it'll look like the drainage district had, say, 20,000 of disbursements when they might have only paid the vendor 13,000. So then there's that $7,000 difference that's just not running through the system right.
Until we pay more bills.
Yep, and each time that there'd be bills, have to be reconciled, because it's not
dollar for dollar.
Yeah.
Like we were doing.
And
we were aware of this, and that was one of the things we asked about, having an accounting firm take this responsibility and do that. But to go in reverse order now, I mean, what do we do? I mean, how do we solve this? Because if we change it, it kind of nullifies our bids.
Which bid are you talking about?
For the project, because the bidders were aware that they were going to get cash.
So they didn't want to do anything with the stamped warrant themselves.
Correct.
Okay.
So it has been awarded. We took bids, went through that process, and the email's been sent out that awarded that to the low bidder. And I don't know what we do, how we correct it.
What about those drainage warrants where I would actually process the invoice, pay the vendor themselves, do not stamp it, but then contact Bridge Bank and let them know the dollar amount we need to be deposited? Would that work?
And that would be sort of like you were doing it before, where it would be matching dollar for dollar then.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and that would, if the bank would be willing to do that, that would work better, because then you aren't going to have that difference just sitting out there.
So they'll still give us the money like they're doing right now, but I'm actually going to just, instead of me writing a check to Bridge Bank, them giving us a Bridge Bank check to deposit for Cedar County, and then Sandy paying the invoices, it's going to start with me. I'm going to write the checks payable to the vendors for the invoice, contact Bridge Bank saying, I need X amount of dollars. They'll bring me a check, we'll deposit it, and then it's done.
But basically a drawdown is what you're looking at.
But can these warrants be, what I understood is the warrants had to be in increments, a certain amount.
That's the way the banks want it.
That's the way they want it.
Well, I think it's in code.
Dee, what was the code?
Did they raise it from 1,000 to 5,000 minimum or something?
Not minimum, but, and it's also, it says in there about both parties can agree on different amounts, but it's increments of 5,000. So if you had like a $7,000 bill, it'd be a 5,000 and then a 2,000. But you can have under 5,000. If the bill is only $500, you could have a stamped warrant for $500. It was just that a big bill would be split into 5,000 increments.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easier for the recipient to sell it and easier to redeem it for the county's cut.
That's the maximum that we can go on the warrants?
Unless both parties agree. I mean, if either party wants a higher limit, that's allowable too.
Yeah. They wanted it for, it was easy for their accounting. But in the realistic
But if
world,
we take and if we have $10,000 warrants, when we go to paying that off, can we pay like 5,000 of it? Or do we have to pay the full 10,000 plus interest?
Yep, it'd be the full
10.
Okay. So that we'd have to accumulate the tax money before we could pay off a $10,000 warrant then.
Mm-hmm.
So if we had smaller warrants, we could pay them off faster.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, understand.
And the other thing too about paying them off is it goes in order that they were issued.
Yes.
So yeah, the first one's going down the list.
Okay.
Which
it doesn't matter when the bank's paying.
Which for the county, we're okay, Dee, because we're just dealing with Bridge Bank. I know Bridge is with 3 other banks, but to me, that's their responsibility to divvy it up between those 4 banks. We're just going to be paying Bridge Bank when the assessments come through and we collect off of it.
Yeah, because I'm assuming they were the holder of the warrants then, and how they split it up after that,
it's their accounting nightmare.
Well, and I think whatever we come to a conclusion, we need to make sure that they're okay with it, because if they, we kind of signed off with them, and this is how we were going to do it, and if we're changing the rules on that, we could get into trouble on that.
think that between you and Sandy and Gary or whoever is gonna have to call Bob Steen and explain it to him.
I think the board needs to be involved because Sandy has talked to Bob Steen.
Oh, is he?
And
He's aware of it?
And
He's basically told me it can be done,
yeah,
but he doesn't know our side. So
he doesn't
then-
know our side enough to allow Sandy to explain it to him if he wants to understand it.
And
So-
then he had Jim Hudson call me because he sensed the hesitation in my voice. And Jim Hudson said it can be done and there's no problem in doing it, and we are the first county that is doing it this way.
No, we're not gonna stash him like his dad did in the
Yeah.
file.
Well, it sounds like we need to have everybody at the table.
Yep.
At our next meeting.
Okay.
We got
I'd
a-
appreciate
what do we
that.
got on for
Because like I
Tuesday
said,
next
Sandy's
week?
tried and.
We need to have it sooner than that?
Solution.
When was that?
You need to have it sooner than next Tuesday?
There's no more invoices. What Sandy and I have done since we talked to Dee.
I haven't paid that $19,000.
Sandy has not paid that invoice for $19,800 and some dollars. We've received money for Bridge Bank, but we're just holding off right now because right now we can undo it a lot easier. So, no, that's fine. And there's, yeah, the other
On
invoices.
Tuesday, you have the recorder coming in at 8:45 and the engineer at 9:15.
So we can get the bankers in after that then?
It'll be after that, like 9:45 or 10. I suppose.
9:45, 10 o'clock, have the bankers come in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you guys want Dee to be present, or do you understand how she's, since they audit our books here and she knows solutions programs, she understands the problem we're under right now. So
Well, she'd be available on the phone next Tuesday? Would you be available on the phone next Tuesday, Dee? Around
And
10 o'clock?
I'm out on a county audit on Tuesday.
Where, in Cedar County?
No.
No, not yet.
Huh.
We're at a different county next week. Yeah, we'll be out there in
The 20th. They'll be here the 20th. Is that gonna set it back too far?
And how soon does this need to be paid? December 15th was the date of the invoice.
Who's that to?
Who's it to?
Bolton.
Bolton.
They can wait.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so should we just wait and?
Let's just wait till the 20th.
Okay.
Oh, the 20th now.
Oh.
That's your first budget day, full day.
Well.
But there's time in there
I was
at
gonna
10
say, somebody moved,
10
didn't they?
There's time, there's a block, a half an hour at 10:30, and
Yeah.
then there's time at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, once you find out which way they wanna come, which way the bankers wanna come, and Dee will be here anyhow all day, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Yep. So I'd be free any
Just
time.
find out
that
what
week.
time the bankers.
Yeah.
So another question, I mean, just to clarify, this is mainly a problem with getting solutions program to reconcile and getting some sort of report to reconcile in solutions programming, correct?
Yeah, and then also make sure then like the reports would be accurate with the actual disbursements being made. Because
So-
like the treasurer would, when they publish the semi-annual report, if there's that sort of reconciling item, if that would run through the disbursements, right, to be an accurate amount for what they publish.
So could this be done manually outside of the solutions program?
Hello.
I don't think so because all our banking goes through it. See, the problem is we're not going dollar for dollar.
Oh, I understand that, but I'm
Where
just
your other
saying-
drainage districts evidently are, that the board wasn't informed of from.
But an addendum or something that would, amendment or something that would come,
Because on the
come
your
alongside and
semi-annual
explain it.
for a drainage district, I'm gonna show I paid out 20, you're gonna show you only paid out 19.8. So then it's gonna be like, okay, they're not balancing between each other. What's the auditor doing? What's the treasurer doing? So see, that's a glitch right there.
But you could show there's a balance of the difference.
But you always have to.
Manually. And account for it that way. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to think outside the box.
It's a lot more work.
Yeah, you might be able to, but you'd have to.
It's a lot of manual work, and I don't know.
Well, that was something that was brought to the attention of this board, and we said that we may have to hire an accountant to take care of that, whether it be someone like Hunting or some other group to take care of that discrepancy. That was mentioned when we were talking about it.
Because I thought we could even pay for that on the Stanwood Drainage District.
Yes.
To hire a person to take care of that.
Yeah, because the hours between my office and the treasurer's office, you probably wouldn't want to know what we have invested in this district. So, I don't know, is that feasible, Dee? Is that something, how would we do that though if the Drainage District Board would hire an outside accounting firm?
And then,
because we're still known as the Stanwood Drainage is still an agency fund. So is it as easy as just not having that agency fund anymore then? So nothing gets passed through?
you're saying not even run any of it through the county?
Right? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not. I'm saying
Or just having someone to do the bookkeeping part of it?
correct.
Right.
Yeah, but then you'd still have to make sure the reports are accurate. I don't know. I don't think there's any way to manually adjust that report. Unless, I guess it wouldn't be too hard to set up a different spreadsheet to use while this is all going on. Then the other thing also to make sure is, like, when you publish the bills listing,
yeah,
is it showing the 20,000 to the bank or the actual payments to the vendors?
No, because the claim checks that comes out of the auditor's office is what's published. So it's going to show the 20,000 going to Bridge Bank. And then the actual dollars that are being paid to the vendors comes from a separate checkbook in the treasurer's office.
So then the actual payments to the vendors would never be included in the published bills list.
Right.
Which would be another issue. And I don't know if I don't think there's any way to sort of add those at the end or anything.
And just like the tracking side on the accounting, the auditor side, yeah, we bring that up in 10 years if somebody wants to know, all we're going to have is your $10,000 increment. We're not going to see who really got paid. That it's going to be extra work to keep a separate file on all that. Where normally we just scan in the invoices, attach it to, and we have it all. It's a very unique situation, but it's...
Is there no way that we can just separate them out and that the Stanwood Drainage District is on its own and we have a separate accounting for it? I mean, we meet as a separate board. I mean, yes, we are the board for that, but is it... I mean, we're trying to keep it as separate from the county as we can anyway.
Right. But where it comes in at, correct me if I'm wrong, Dee, is it's an agency fund, so therefore it's included in all our budgets, financial reports, and all that, correct?
And let me double check with the report here. But it's, yeah, you're...
It's under semi-annual. So I don't know how we would break it off.
Taxes
That would be clean, but I don't know.
Taxes are going to come through the county.
Yeah, because we have to do that.
Yeah, so you'd have to somehow, they're going to go through the county anyhow. Your reimbursement for all that. So.
Yeah, it's actually, it comes through as a special revenue since it's the Board of Supervisors is the board for the drainage district. So it's it's its own fund, so it's in the various reports and all that.
So there's really no way, like Don suggested, trying to pull it out and keep it separate?
No, because still have to go into the
I'm paying it out of
audit
the
report like that. In the financial statement.
Well, it sounds like we need to get the bankers in here, get it in the 20th, get the bankers in here, and Dee would be here in the courthouse anyhow, they're doing our audit. And then she can come up and explain it to them and go from there. That's about all we can do, isn't it?
Yeah, and see, the best if they would take it, sort of dollar for dollar, then
That's
it
all
can
they
just be the warrant written out to the vendor for the exact amount.
Yes.
And that would show in the published bills. It would show the actual expense on the reports and everything, and it would be no additional reconciling.
Right.
What you're saying, though, Dee, is we make out the warrant to the contractor and he has to take it to the bank, or would we have the warrant and take it to the bank and then turn around and pay the vendor with cash?
It would be written out to the vendor, but it could just be like sold to the bank, basically.
Yeah.
Because basically, you're just handling it for the vendor.
Okay, so they get their cash at the bank.
Yeah. But we're dropping down from writing 2 checks to 1, where I'll actually write that check out to the vendor, will not stamp it, they can cash it. In return, I'm going to let the Bridge Bank know, hey, I need this dollar amount put in the treasurer's account to be able to, justify these checks that I just wrote out for.
And I guess if we, and I think we probably assist in that somewhat, but if they're concerned, the bank's concern would be that they're doing a $300 one, a $500 one, a $700 one, whatever. We could hold them to make it to where we have a $19,000 one or whatever.
Or close enough.
To where we don't take them in every time we get one. We hold them until we get a lump sum, and then we can pay numerous and keep it up at that $10,000 range.
And that's what Sandy's already talked to Bob Steen about, that they had set up that we would just pay claims once a month. What we have is
so
what
it's more
we
like a
pay.
pay application situation.
Yeah. Instead of every time through claims every 2 weeks, no, we're holding it for once a month is when we'll pay them then. So the biggest thing is if the banks will go dollar for dollar. That's all they have to do is just say, yes, we'll go dollar for dollar. Yes, it will be more work on their side, but in turn they're getting this percentage too. So I'm sorry, but they should be doing a majority of the work. Cedar County shouldn't. And right now we're doing it all. So
is this satisfactory with everybody? We have them in the 20th, and
yep.
And you can hold that
do that
till the 20th then, for Bolton and Mink.
I guess if you think of some other way as far as outside accounting that can be done between now and then, we'll have some time to think about that.
Send us an email. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. And I'll also be thinking about any other solutions to this too, to get everything going through right with the easiest way possible too. So.
Dee, can I ask you one other question?
Okay.
The counties that you audit that have drainage districts, are they dollar for dollar?
Just warrants.
Yes, and well, one of the counties, they actually do a drainage warrant certificate where it's a dead item, it's not a stamped warrant, and then they get that money, and they send those out for bids and then take the lowest interest rate, and just like any other long-term debt.
Okay.
But the stamped warrants ones, but it was always exactly dollar for dollar.
Okay.
Okay, anything else for Dee? We'll see you on the 20th then, Dee.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So that's our biggest hang up. This is not dollar for dollar. Which for tracking would be nice for, like I said, in 15, 20 years, if you ever want to pull up that expense, it will list every vendor and the actual dollar amounts. Where right now, how we're doing it, it just shows Bridge Bank.
So there's the maintenance, fixing the tile. And if we decided to go with, a $2,000 to keep a little bit of cash in there so we could pay some stuff in the normal account, that's okay.
Yes, because that's different
Even
from.
using the regular warrants?
Yeah, they never had any issue with us, the way we were doing it. It's just this right now, for the increments of 10 grand, and how it's not truly a stamped warrant. A stamped warrant is actually me paying the vendor, stamping it, and saying, here you go, find someone to buy it. Where Bridge Bank's right there, go to Bridge Bank, they'll give you the money, and then when we collect taxes then, the person that received the stamped warrant would have to tell us, hey, Bridge Bank bought it, and we're going to have to pay them then. But a true stamped warrant isn't how we've been doing it, so.
Here's another thought process.
Oh,
And
I
it may
know.
not work, but we have done this previously on projects. If we do, the engineer that we have doing the project, if they would do, let's say they pay out the vendors, and they give you one pay application a month, is there any reason we can't do that? They're basically funneling it. Then it's dollar for dollar, then it's cleaner. You're just paying a pay application.
That's what the bank was basically gonna do.
Just as long as the bank still gives us a dollar for dollar.
But then it's not a drawdown.
You're saying all the vendors go through the engineer?
Make it their problem.
The only
And then they
problem
could
is
turn
we
around and
haven't-
bill
we
it.
haven't agreed to that.
No, but it might move things forward. And a lot of engineering firms will do that. They, of course, they build the cost in. But that's your outside source that you were talking about for a lot of the accounting issues.
But if we have a meeting with the banks next week, and they agree to this, we're okay. We're gonna be okay.
If they agree dollar for dollar, yes.
And that's all we have to do is get them to agree to that, and things will be fine.
Because they're still gonna give us a check just like they normally do. It's just gonna be for the exact amount.
Right.
But they'll be doing it a lot more often.
Just once a month is all we'll be paying.
Their probably biggest concern is that evenly divisible by 4.
You're exactly right, John. I truly believe that. I have not heard that come from the banker's mouth, but sitting back in my office, gathering all this up, yeah, the 10,000 increments was a lot easier. So when they actually receive the money from the treasurer after they collect from the assessments, oh yeah, here you go, we'll pay off the stamp warrant 10 grand. And all they do is sit back and divvy it up 4 ways. Where now, if it's dollar for dollar, they're going to have to push a pencil a little bit more. It's not as convenient for them, but it's what works in our accounting side for the county. I mean, we can't have all our books not balancing and
$159 just sitting out there.
Is this scenario though that she's recommending? Are we going to give the warrants to the vendor, to the contractor?
Yeah, we would pay the.
So they don't really have to take them to the bank then?
No, not if we do it this way.
And see, that was one thing that the banks wanted, all the warrants or nothing.
Yeah.
And see, that was one of the drawbacks that the banks had. They wanted it all. If they didn't get it all, they didn't want it.
Okay, so if they want it that way, we can work that. I'm going to send out stamp warrants to the vendor. The vendors are notified that Bridge Bank is the one you can collect money from. And they'll go to Bridge Bank and they'll give them their money.
But they wouldn't have to.
But in our accounting side, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
So
see,
in their banker side, they got it figured out. This is what works.
Yeah, but the banker's proposal was they wanted all the warrants. And see, if you give the warrants to the contractor, that contractor can take them to U.S. Bank over here and sell them to them.
So we're back to square one.
But they're not stamped. They're going to be true cash that they can just cash. In essence, what we're doing is we're telling Bridge Bank, we paid these people, we need this amount of money.
Yeah, but can they take them to any bank and get them cashed?
No. It's going to still run through the county. I'm not going to stamp those.
They
will not be stamped
The only
for.
place they can get their cash is at the Mechanicsville Bank.
Well, that's where we're going to get it. Okay, so get out of your mind stamp warrants right now. Whoa, it's gone. When an invoice comes through, I'm going to pay it. Okay? It's for Stanwood Drainage.
That contractor's going to get cash from you.
Yeah.
Get a check from you.
Yep.
Okay.
They're going to go to their bank deposit. They know nothing different.
Okay.
In turn, what I'm going to do is send an itemized list of who I paid, and I want that dollar amount down at the bottom transferred into the treasurer's account.
Okay, you're not
so
giving
we
a warrant to the contractor.
Nope.
Okay.
There will be no stamp warrants. What they're doing is pretty much they're getting it all. So when we do these assessments, they're getting all the money from it.
But I thought Hudson said we couldn't do that. We had to have stamped warrants.
Maybe Hudson.
He's wrong.
Well, I'm not saying that, but.
He did say we were the only county that was doing it this way. He's never heard of it this way.
Yeah.
But it'll work, he said. But he doesn't know our side.
Yeah. So.
Well, I guess we wait till the 20th and find out, huh?
Yeah.
We probably should contact Hudson and Etler and tell them what's going on, to keep them informed. You should send an email out to them.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
I think anyhow. I don't know. What's the rest of the board members think?
No, I have no problem with that. It's just them calling myself or Sandy and telling us, you don't understand. It's this simple.
Well, and
I can listen to people, and believe me, I have, but it's like, he don't understand where we're going.
But see, the reason it's simple for them is they don't care where the warrants go.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to keep it in Cedar County. So once we set that parameter, that's where that whole thing does not.
Yeah. So.
Are we better off getting Hudson or Etler on the phone?
I don't know what you're going to accomplish.
Huh?
I don't think we need to involve them.
No.
Okay.
Because honestly, it's between the board, the Standard Drainage District Board, and the bank.
Okay.
Saying we ran into this issue, what we need is dollar for dollar.
And hopefully we can divide, or we can pay them in amounts that are divisible by 4.
Yeah.
Equally.
Sure, Sandy, can you?
Sure.
So we need one more warrant.
Yeah. Just $20 more.
No, 20, that wouldn't matter. It's cents.
Yeah.
30 days plus 1 more day.
Yeah.
Or just pay them, short them a penny or 2.
Uh,
They can hold it and turn it in on the next one.
Well, they'd have to divide that out the way they want to divide it out.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's just the banks and the trustees meeting on the 20th.
Yeah, I believe that's all you need. It's
And
gonna be.
the auditor and
Auditing
the treasurer.
Yeah.
And
So at least they can.
Hurricane in
Yeah.
background.
And the auditor.
They're gonna be here, they, in the background, they're gonna be here.
Yeah.
Oh, she's gonna come.
Yeah,
So for
she's
somebody-
here anyway.
Yeah, they're
That's
auditing
right,
us.
she's here.
Yeah.
That's 20th.
If we can't
Fine.
get it,
Bob's Dean.
Be a real party.
well, he's got morning or afternoon.
I know, but I mean, what if he's out of town or something?
Well,
We'll
you
find
let
out.
us know the next day or so, and then we can find out.
I have all,
Yeah.
Or you can send one of this out.
Okay. It's something that was not, you know, we couldn't see in the future to see it was gonna be a nightmare, but Sandy threw up the red flags right away and started digging in, and yeah. It's more in depth on their side than it is on mine. I just read the check.
Thanks, Sandy.
Yeah. We're supposed to balance?
We just wanna do semi-annual
Almost.
reports.
Yeah. So,
Okay,
yeah.
we'll wait till we hear from, she's gonna.
I
get
hope
hold
it
of
all
Bob
goes
Steen.
smooth. I would hope once the bankers realize the in-depth accounting system we have here, it's just not one bank account, one checkbook. I mean, yeah, they'll be okay with that. And maybe if they come up with something different, with Dee being here, she can tell us right away whether it's gonna work
Yeah.
or not. So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So Bev will try and get hold of Bob Steen and find out when he can,
Yeah.
if he'd be here the 20th.
I would say already, yeah. You give them plenty of time.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
All right.
The other thing, I don't know if Carrie, you wanna do this while Carrie's in here, these right-of-way appraisers and benefit commission members, do you wanna do that today? What's
Did
going
you
on
appoint
there?
somebody to take Mary's place?
No.
No.
So.
Are you going to?
My assistant's telling me no.
Well, Betty called me, 'cause I was instructed to send Betty an email and ask if she'd be interested.
Yeah.
Mary
Thank you, guys.
Poston
thanks
was
for-
appointed
Thank you.
by Carrie, but she's having some issues with being available during the day, and Etler
Another
says it
one.
has to be during the day. Now Betty Ellerhoff said she can do it, but her days are very limited in January, and Etler had mentioned January for one of the things, I think. But she would be better for Betty Ellerhoff in February, but she is willing to do it, and she could do it in January, but she'd have to check the calendar, and it'd be limited days she'd be available.
What was the push to get, is it the right of way done in January?
He wanted the right of way in January, but the
The other part was
Isn't
later.
until November or something,
Yeah.
after the project's done with.
Benefit commission would
Any
meet during the day
repercussion
in
if we
November,
don't do
right
it
away
till
was in
February?
January.
Delay the project possibly.
Oh.
But basically, you have to appoint somebody to the right of way.
Mhm.
And then we were going to appoint the same people for the reclassification. And that, the reclassification would not meet till in November, the way he talked. But he
Right.
wanted to try and I thought Etler said he wanted to try and get that right of way done in January.
Okay. What's, should we just find out what Etler's schedule is, and then see if it will coincide with Betty? See if we can work.
Do it in February rather
Well,
than
yeah, see if
January.
we can do it in February. Do it.
But I don't want it delaying the project either, that.
Or see what our January schedule's
Yeah.
availability is.
Yeah.
She said you could pick a day in January and she'd just have to see what day it fit, if it fit into her schedule.
Okay.
She's got a lot going on in January, she said.
Or find out what days would work, and then
For
take
her?
that day, yeah, and ask Etler, will this day work?
Or could have Adler call her.
And this, yeah, stay the middle
Be a lot
person out of
easier.
it, huh? Like John said, yeah, have Etler
Okay.
call her.
And Lori
Keep
said
it simple,
she could
huh?
meet any day, right?
Mhm.
Brandenburg.
Pretty much.
I don't think anything's simple.
So Gary's appointed Lori and Mary. She would redo her letter, I'm assuming, and the board would have to make some motion, but you wanna wait till
But we don't have to make a motion to approve hers. What we're gonna do is we're going to appoint the same ones
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
for the
right.
reclassification.
Okay.
So
So
we
yeah,
wait
once
for-
Betty will say yes and it works, then yeah, I'll revise that letter then.
Okay, so have Ever talk to Betty,
Yeah,
and then you'll do your action, okay.
perfect.
Okay?
All right, and I don't have any minutes done from the
Okay.
last meeting yet.
Okay, was there anything else coming before the Stanwood Drainage District then? There is none. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn from Stanwood Drainage District.
So moved.
Okay, the motion been made by Smith. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Gal. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're back into regular session.
Is there if I just keep these here?
Yeah, I wonder if we should contact, because there's a, if you look at this,
To be verified in the field.
I wonder if we could contact either the
Are they still around?
structural engineers or the architects, probably the structural engineers. I don't know. We could check on that, see if there's anybody around that was involved in it that would know.
Because what
That's-
we wanna know,
And I don't know where the piers are, whether they're just every so often. 'Cause sometimes that's what they do with them, or else if that thing runs the full length, that's a problem.
Do you want me to go check them out?
Yeah, check it quick.
21
There's more
foot
stuff
deep.
we gotta take care of here.
yeah, this building's not going nowhere.
You know, it wasn't built on very good soil, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Yeah.
AP wasn't good enough.
Okay, let me take this one. Let me Google and find out where these guys are at now.
And if, you know, you could try the structural engineers, you could even go back to the architects.
Okay.
You could even find who the contractor was and see if we could,
There's no mail yet.
Okay.
Nothing?
you know, get somebody to tell us.
More information.
Mhm.
Okay. I'll get on it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, the information that went around regarding the payment to U.S. Highway 30 Coalition of Iowa dues, our dues are $150, I think it is, isn't it? Does somebody want to make the motion to approve that?
So moved.
Okay, the motion's been made by Gal. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Smith. Any
That wasn't our
discussion?
budget, correct?
Yeah. Any other discussion? Roll call. Gal.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
And Gilbert, aye.
Do you want to
You want me to sign it?
sign that card? We'll turn it in on a piece of paper.
Okay, then we've got the weed commissioners. We've got a certificate, the weed commissioner certification form. Need a motion to have the sheriff sign.
So moved.
Okay, motion been made by Bell. Is there a second to motion?
Second.
Second by Gal. Any discussion? Roll call. Bell.
Aye.
Gal.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Dearborn, aye. Almost put 14 in there. Okay, the mental health, we need to appoint somebody to that mental health, Eastern Iowa Mental Health Disability Services Regional Governing Board. I'll take it if you want me to take it again, but.
Move to have Wayne take care of that.
Okay, the motion been made by Gall. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Smith. Any discussion? Roll call. Gall.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Jigger, nay. No. There's Dan Rigger, aye.
Did you say nay?
No. I've been involved with it. Okay, the eminent domain person, we need to find somebody from, that has town property, right?
Yes, I think that's Wayne Kapler that's under the town property.
So, if you want to bring back some names at the next meeting, and
Okay.
appoint them to the eminent domain.
They have to be a town person, right?
Have to own property.
Okay.
Can find somebody down in that area.
I can work on it.
Yeah, can bring it back to the next meeting, would you?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, anything else come before the meeting? There is no mail yet? If there's nothing else, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, the motion been made by Smith. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second by Gall. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Are you going to set up those employee recognition people to come in? Do that?
Is Jeff gonna be here next meeting? Because he needs to sign that before people come in and actually schedule him to come in. He'll be here next time.
He should be. Yeah, he could be here.
Do you have a couple minutes, Wayne? You want to go check that? And Deb, I'm gonna leave my code here.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave my code here too.
Don't trust me to lock up. I get back to Durant and I'm like.
It's all right. It's not a big deal. Eventually we notice that everybody's gone and we go over and lock it.
I kind of figured